Are we there yet?
It's okay with you.
Glad to be here, and I mean
I thought you were going to take the fifth.
I already did. That's why I'm in the program. Go ahead.
Do the fifth. Do the fifth.
When I grew up in the, obviously the camera's probably cheap, but I'm 70 years old. I'm way past prime time. When I was a kid, I used to come home from school and turn the TV on and watch the criminal investigations. If I remember well, I think they were called the Kefauver investigations. And one of the guys, the defendants, was a guy named Joe Valachi. And Joe, I don't know if he was Italian or not, but Joe Valachi used to sit there and go, I refuse to testify on the grounds that it may incriminate me. And it was just, I was dazzled by that stuff. And I'm an Italian wannabe. I spent a lot of time in Italy. The lady I'm going out with is Italian, and it's a very big part of my life, the Italian people.
Don't keep that.
Love them.
Go with Venice. Do the Venice thing.
Venezia, La Serenissima. 8 times I've been in Venice, and I'm German, and we didn't get to march into there, but we were stopped at the border. But, well, we were allies, but there's something about Venice that's just amazing, and I mean, it's so beautiful and everything, and it's just, I love it there. And like I said,
how many times?
8.
8
Ocho,
times.
Ocho, and I love it. That's what. The most beautiful thing about Italian is the language. You know, that's the most romantic language, and I'm German. And if you're German, I apologize. Mach nicht, all right? Lighten up. Because German's very guttural, Italian's romantic, all right? You know, I'm telling you, when I was in Italy, in Venice, and I was looking at those Venetian women, I'd love to go out with them, but I don't know how to talk Italian. So I listened to an Italian one night, and I hear him. And I said, if he scores with this line, I'll use it. And I distinctly remember him going, Signorina, dove il bagno? Isn't that beautiful? You know what that means? Where is the bathroom? But it sounds beautiful, right?
Only you can
Compared
make it
to
sound
German,
beautiful.
where's the bathroom? Fräulein, wo ist die Badzimmer? If you're German, don't write. Leave me alone. I knock my own people. And that's it.
So besides the women and, the beauty of the city, what else do you like about it? The food?
Oh, of course, Italian cooking is just amazing. Well, you know, I mean, it doesn't compare to sauerkraut, but Wiener Schnitzel und Sauerkraut. Even the food, pasta. Huh? You know what I mean? It's
Insalata verde.
It's so loose. And
remember Kevin Kline in I think A Fish Called Wanda, and he's.
Oh my God!
And she what's her name? Got all turned on. Speak Italian to me when they're making love.
Oh, for God!
And he's all he's saying is insalata verde. He's talking about food. He's talking about a menu. So
no woman ever asked me to speak German when I was making love. Achtung! You will have to orgasm. No, it won't happen.
Okay. Now,
I'm sorry.
Well, we have to tell them the orange. Tell them the whole Russian, German, the mix.
Okay. Father's in Russia. Leaves Russia in 1912, 13. His name was Conrad. Sounds Irish. And he comes to the States, goes to Oregon, becomes a lumberjack. Gets drafted into World War I. Gets shipped over to Germany. The war's over. And they used to have these soldiers called occupation troops. After a while, you put in a home. And he sees my mother. She's like 17. He's 22, 23. And he falls in love with her. And he says, I'm going back to the United States. I'm not going back to Russia. I'm going back to the United States. And I will send for you. And he comes back to the States, gets mustered out of the Army. And he moves to a town which was rocking back in 1920. Which was Lynn, because General Electric was born there, 1895, 1896, don't quote me on that one, but the work was plentiful. My dad moves into Lynn, gets a job, and my mother comes from Germany, I forget the year, and comes via a place called Ellis Island, where everybody's people came from, and came to Lynn, and she wanted to go right home. Because there was no bathroom in the house. There was an outhouse and a chicken coop.
Really?
And my mother said, I want to go home. I want to go back to Deutschland. And my father said, just hang and stick it out. Will you stick it out? And it's funny, when she was close to the end of her life, I'll never forget that. I said, Ma, you know, whatever she was, 70 at the time, let's go back to Germany and visit the Alta. And she goes, no, this is my country. So it went a whole reverse thing. And they had 3 sons, and my brother Connie, who was an officer in the Air Force, he just passed away in November. And there was Connie, and then Ralphie, who didn't make it past 7. He drowned at the reservoir in Lynn. Wow. And I was 18 months after Ralphie. I was the makeup kid. Wow. And I got the best of the deal. No, I mean it. First son always gets the smacks. The second kid wasn't around to get the, you know, the Victorian bringing up. But I was the kid who got the best. I remember being suffocated by my mother and father with, that's all I remember about my father and mother. Hug, hug, hug.
Nice.
Yeah. And
nice.
because Ralph drowned, you know, she didn't want me leaving the yard. So you know how they tie a rope around you? I was 28. All my friends are going drinking. I can't go, I'm on a rope, you know, and I couldn't leave the yard. So they'd sneak the beer in. No, I was 25. I wasn't 28.
See what I mean? See, this is right off the cuff, folks. Hang in there. It's going to get wild.
This is without booze and drugs. Should have seen me when I was using. No, it's been a while.
I wonder if they're cracking up in the control room here.
Oh, God.
Now, Lynn, let's...
I never had children, so nobody, the state would not allow me to reproduce, all right? I was fixed by the feds. Go ahead.
So, Lynn.
Yes.
Now, Lynn is a place of many firsts.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We talk about the first. Yeah. Lydia Pinkham. I forgot about that one. Lydia Pinkham started her, whatever that outfit she started for curing ills, which was all booze.
Oh, Mary Eddie, right?
Yeah.
The Christian Science Church.
Pinkham and Christian Science. First jet engine, I always say this, was 1942. The Germans had it, the English had it, but in the United States, the first jet engine was in Lynn at the Riverworks. There were 2 segments of GE, the instruments and the Riverworks, and I got fired from both of them. And, you don't miss National Guard meetings during the Vietnam War. And I did. I got arrested in the GE for missing a National Guard meeting. Well, I had priorities, you know what I mean? And Marshmallow Fluff, anybody ever heard of that? Durkee Moa, that's in Lynn. So what was the first female pilot? True story, Massachusetts, 1920, right after World War I, the first lady from Lynn. And the first leather catcher's mitt was manufactured at the leather shops in Lynn. And in 1984, the first crack house in Massachusetts was in Lynn, Massachusetts. And I was there with the mayor to cut the ribbon and sample the products. No laughing in the control room.
Oh, God, this is going to be a tough interview trying not to lose control. Oh, God.
So my son, he loves the brattle. Go ahead.
So you've done a lot of research on Lynn. You had to go way back. I mean,
I did. Yeah. Well, you know, when you grew up and people say, how'd you become a comedian? I said, I drank Lynn water. I was a half a mile from the test cells where they had the jet engine, so you get the fumes. And my mother couldn't afford snacks, so she said, I can't afford snacks, so eat the lead paint because chip away and you'll be funny. So thank you, Gertrude. It's because of my mother. And I was, like I said, I was a single parent kid because my dad was dead when I was 6. So my mother brought me up. And I mean this with all sincerity. We're doing funnies, but all my brain is geared. I'm a feminine person. And I mean that. And I don't mean, you know, my gender choices, you know, men and women, but I'm not criticizing anybody's gender choice. But all my emotions are feminine. And I mean that. I do it on stage, but it's true. I see myself react. I can cry on a dime. I mean it. I'm not, when I went in the Army, they said, give us the rifle. Get a spatula, go in the kitchen and cook, will you? Because you're no good for combat. I mean it. They took my blood, and when I went to Fort Dix to get the blood, you know, the blood, whatever, the sample, I passed out. Not suitable for combat. I just can't stand the sight of blood. But I'm serious, Ace. I'm serious. And, you know, but my mother, and I shouldn't say this if I had a choice, but I'm glad I was brought up by my mother. Very non-aggressive woman, very non-violent, non-aggressive. She was a very, very, very placid, very quiet woman. And she was the best woman I ever met, indifferent to anybody else. But She was a Class A lady, and I mean, objectively speaking, there was nothing better than that. I saw her go through horrendous pains, physical and all this trauma, the losing my brother there when he was a kid, and never complained, you know. And she got older, and I used to, you know, she stuck with me throughout the alcohol problem, and then I used to take her shopping town. Oh my God Almighty! And it was tough to see it because, you know, she shrunk. My German mother shrunk to the size of a Hummel. Not the big Hummel, just a little Hummel. I'd be chasing her through the store, you know, and then she used to wear ace bandages, and they'd be clip fall off, be dragging, chase her. Step on it, she'd come ricocheting back. It was an amazing trip to go take her shopping. I'm telling you, this is all true. I put a spin on it to get the paycheck. But, there is money involved here. Okay. I want to say something about this guy. We became friends because of comedy, and I've met a lot of people in the business of BS and backstabbing. He's one of the decent men, and I don't want to start naming names because everybody, you all know who you are. Put it in the bag. And I mean that sincerely. You know, I've been through 33 years of BS and backstabbing, and I'm still doing it. And people say, how can you still do it? You're 70. I goes, because there's nothing else I know. I'm not going to end up bagging groceries in Market Basket. That's not my gig. All right, Tom? We can plastic or paper. But boom. So I'll do it till I'm in the grave. I say, I keep trying till I'm dying. Right? We still keep hustling, trying to make the
And we get to do it. That's the beauty.
And I mean it sincerely. The business is a pain in the back. But when you walk on that stage and people respond to what we do, it's more fulfilling, I shouldn't say, than money. Yeah, I need the bucks too to pay the bills, but you know, and there's some fringe benefits too. I was in Vegas performing, and at the end of the show, I probably told you all this nonsense, but these are the fringe benefits of doing stand-up. I come off the stage, and sometimes I go straight to the room, and sometimes you want to get pat in the butt. You did a great show, and I was needing that night. You walk through the crowd, and they give you all that stuff. And 4 women from Texas come up and said, we really enjoyed your show. And I said, well, you know, someone out in that audience really needed to laugh. And one of the 4 started crying. And the lady next to me said, her husband just died, and we flew her from Texas, and you made her laugh. And I go, what more do you need? And here's another one. And feel free to interrupt me because it's going to be the Bob Seibel show. Tom, so how you been? I'll be interviewing you. So now, I'm up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, doing a show. And there's this young man in front, and I knew he was like a kid. I said, how old are you, punk? And he's going, 14. I'm going, when I was your age, you know, I was writing on tablets, you know, and I was just kidding with the kid. And that's when I was selling those DVDs. And after the show, I ragged on him, but nothing to, you know, it was just he got comfortable. And after the show, he came out to the lobby to buy the DVD, and he was a kid, so I only charged him $100. No, it was shop money because there were some flaws. And the kid says, will you sign it? So I got the pen and I signed it, and he goes, you know, I really appreciate it. I really had a good time. Hey, Kyle. And I shook his hand and went off. I'm coming home from Portsmouth to Newburyport, because I lived there. The lady in my life, Diana, and I are driving, and the phone rings. Now, when I drive back from, and you know this is true, I'm one of the cheapest creatures on earth. My mother and I were poor. I will not let go. I got underwear from 1954. So we're driving back to Newburyport on Old Route 1, because I will not pay the $2 at the toll on 95. That's how cheap. I will spend more money going down because it's the principle. I'd rather put it in the tank than put it in the coffer for the highway. So phone rang. And I look at the 603. I figured it was the agent that booked me. I don't want to answer the phone, but we pulled in for a coffee. This is true story. Like everything else is a lie, all right? It's a true story. I put the voicemail on. This is a true story. Oh, boy. Sometimes I choke when I tell the story. And the kid said, it was the kid, Kyle. He said, Bob, this is Kyle. I was the kid you were ragging on, and I bought you a DVD, and I really want to thank you for making me laugh. And he said, I didn't want to come. My parents forced me to come. I didn't want to come because my best friend committed suicide last night. Whoa. 14. I just sat, me and Diana just sat in the car and went like, oh my God. And I called him back, and not that night, I called him back the next day. I says, you know, my nephew did the same thing when he was 16. You can't stop it. It happened. So don't feel any remorse. I mean, of course, you loved your friend, but don't feel guilty.